Texas Congressman Brian Babin. Sir, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks for being here.
Good morning to both of you.
Good morning. Let's go ahead and pull up this balance of power right now in the Senate. You can see, Republicans need the votes. They need these two votes. If Democrats, Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff, win both of these races, then, we're going to be split here. And Kamala Harris would be the tiebreaker. I'm sure both sides are going to be pulling out all the stops in Georgia. Do you think Joe Biden being there would make a difference for Democrats?
I think it might for some Democrats, but I can tell you, Joe Biden nor Nancy Pelosi are in charge of the Democratic Party. We all know who's in charge of the Democratic Party, and that's the radical left wing. We've already seen Vice President Biden kind of caving in on some of the demands that are being made by that part of his party. And, we're just hoping that there's a free, fair, transparent election in this runoff in Georgia, because, like you just said, it's going to be critical that we keep the U.S. Senate. And but I'm telling you, I'm not giving up on President Trump either. We've had over 400 sworn affidavits seeing anomalies and irregularities and quite frankly, lots of illegalities going on in the presidential race on November the 3rd. So we're hoping that the recount in Georgia will be going well. And the American people have rejected socialism. Patriotic Americans don't want open borders, defunding the police, or single-payer socialized medicine. I think that's been proven in this election, especially on House members.
Yeah, well, you mentioned that recount effort, and big news on that front. Nearly 2,600 ballots were unearthed in Floyd County, Georgia, that were not originally counted in the original vote total. So this gives President Trump 800 more votes, still Joe Biden in the lead in Georgia. But I think this speaks to overall frustration among voters and confusion. Is their vote going to count? So, Congressman, do you think that there should be congressional action on this front, Congress stepping in and figuring out a way to make sure that every single vote counts?
I think there's room for that. Quite frankly, though, the very first bill that Nancy Pelosi introduced in this session in the House was H.R. 1, which was basically a federal takeover of our election process. We're in the minority as Republicans, and it passed the House. But it was rejected by the Senate. However, with the excuse of COVID, Democratic lawyers went to court in a lot of these battleground states, and they actually had the election laws changed using that excuse of public health and safety. And so we wound up with drive-through voting, same-day registration, online registration, extended days for turning in votes, unsolicited ballots. And we, as I said earlier, we've got 400 affidavits that show that a lot of the, even though the laws were changed, there was a lot of illegalities that went on. And so we want to see these Republican legislatures step up in these battleground states too, because without free, open, transparent elections, our constitutional republic will not stand, and we know the consequences. So we want to see fair elections. We want answers to our questions, and President Trump is not out of this thing yet either.
Right. Let's get your take on this before we let you go, because we're running short on time here. Michigan Democrat Alyssa Slotkin says this about Nancy Pelosi. This reads, quote, "I will not be voting for Nancy Pelosi. I have no idea if people are going to run against her or who might run against her. And I will, of course, have this conversation directly with her. But I believe we need new leadership." Your reaction?
My reaction is Ms. Slotkin voted with Nancy Pelosi most of the time, an overwhelming amount of the time, and now she almost paid the piper for it. And so I think that, again, I think the American people have spoken. We won back a number of seats. We knocked off a bunch of Democrat incumbents. Every one of our incumbents are coming back in the House. I think we're going to win the Senate. We're going to retain the Senate. And I think President Trump still has a great shot at this if it's done in the right way. But let me tell you, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the two wings of the Democratic Party. But quite frankly, what I'm seeing is the radical socialist wing of it is the one that is prevailing.
Well, it is certainly a party currently divided. It'll be interesting to see if Alyssa Slotkin's statement is a sign of things to come for Nancy Pelosi.
Thank you.
Congressman Brian Babin, we appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, Jillian and Carly.
Have a good day.
Have a good one.